Welcome back to Upper North Island Secondary Schools. This is the big final game, A-grade game, and the game is between St Kentigern and St Peter's. That probably would surprise some people, but they've obviously had a really great week, and it's going to be a wonderful final. Probably not necessarily, I don't know how you feel about that, Julie, but not sure that I would have picked both these teams to have made it through to the final, knowing some of the players in some of the other teams, and obviously with scholarships and the academies that are in place. St Ken's, I know they have a netball academy, but an interesting combination. I'm actually really looking forward to this final, just to see the difference between this and the B grade final, just to see how these players have stepped up. And it's interesting, we just received a fact that the 6 teams that are going to go through to the New Zealand secondary schools, and that's a huge competition.
Huge.
Absolutely major. It's a major for the schools because it's obviously the pride and everything else involved, but also for individual players, because this is another step closer for a selection to the New Zealand under-21 team for the World Youth Cup, that obviously coming up next year. And the schools that are involved in that are St Kentigern's, Howard College, Avondale College, Epsom Girls Grammar, St Peter's and Westlake. So interesting. Those are the schools that will be representing this region in that competition, and it is a major competition, and this is a major for these teams to have achieved that. So interesting, and we're just waiting now for the start of the game at hand. And are you at all surprised at these two teams making it through?
I am absolutely surprised. St Peter's have had a really good week. I've watched them outside. They've been really, really consistent, and they've won the ones that they needed to win. My heart goes out to all my Mags family, because I used to be with Mags, and I see that they have not made the top 6, which is unusual for them, and they won't be going to nationals this year, which is, I don't even know how long it's been since they've been to since they haven't been to nationals. But congratulations to Westlake, they've managed to make it again, and that's fantastic. But St Peter's, I don't know if they thought that they would be up in number 1, but well done for St Peter's. They really have played some nice netball, and I see Avondale with Grace Nowicki as their shooter, they have made it in as well, which is fabulous actually for them, and Rachel Rasmussen, who is their coach.
Yeah, I saw Avondale earlier on, and I was interested to see how they're going to cope with Grace. I mean, obviously now being a Mystics player and having that extra experience, but you still can't rely on that one player, and obviously that's shown because they're not in the final. So if one player doesn't make a team, and obviously whilst she's a huge target, the one thing about netball, it's a game of equal opportunity in a way, because it's obviously alternate centre pass off. So it's going to be an interesting thing. At the moment, the teams are about to be announced on court, so we'll just watch these players come out on court.
Now, I also notice from St Peter's is that they don't have their basketball players today. Now, their basketball players have helped them. Charlize Ledger-Walker has helped them all week, and she's made that team look fantastic, and I'm interested to see how the team looks without her. The reason they don't have the basketball players is probably because they got regionals at the same time, and so they will have to go and play some. I would have thought may have some other responsibilities today. It'll be interesting to see who has the measure of this game.
It'll be interesting to see who has the better start as well. I mean, they've had all week to prepare, obviously deservedly are in the final. Really interesting, just while I'm looking there, the umpires are not school kids. This is obviously the big time, so reasonably qualified umpires will be taking the ruling of this game. Again, it'll be interesting to see the skill level of these players. So for those watching, welcome to the big final of our regional, I guess, our top 2 school teams in action. I'm Yvonne Willering, joined by Julie Kalman-Poto, and it's our pleasure to bring this game to you. Already unforced error, okay, and I think that's just nerves at the moment, but it's about settling down. Don't forget the game's 4 times 10-minute quarters, so not a lot of time. That last 5 minutes, in a 15-minute quarter is big, and 10 minutes tends to go really quick.
Absolutely. And I think St Kitts may have the measure of this. They have been up here more often than St Peter's, so they may be experienced with the pressure, the higher pressure of netball. But it's fantastic to see 2 different schools. St Kitts had a disappointing year last year, so weren't here. But now they're back.
Yeah, St Kitts have been building up. I mean, I think they've got a netball academy, and they certainly have a lot of netball personnel involved over the years with their school. Interesting to see Baxter, really tall shooter. Be interesting to see how they utilise her height. Now, when we talk height, she isn't just tall; she also has a tremendous arm span as well. So I just hope that they certainly don't just use her height; that they basically use her skills out on court as well. But I did not. I expected actually to see them in the final, having heard just their build up throughout time. Really,
they've had a good build up this year, but St Peter's are a surprise.
Right.
I think.
Yep, I agree. But again, easy feed through to Baxter then. And again, look at the height advantage that she has on the defender. So again, a situation you really actually don't want to get too close to the attacker. The shorter you are, actually you want to stay off her, because then at least you can have a run up to the player. If you stand directly on her, you have no choice but to do a standing jump. And a standing jump with that height mismatch isn't going to get you the ball. And so hopefully they'll learn that fairly soon and do more space marking rather than sometimes the traditional one-on-one. Oh, big start already to St Kitts, 4-0 up.
And I think they're showing their experience. St Peter's have lost a couple of, with unforced errors, have lost a couple. Oh, and now they're on the board, which is actually...
Yeah, it was interesting. St Peter's, Bruce had the ball then as the shooter, and she had I thought she was close enough, but chose not to shoot that one. She'll need to really get in the game.
And they've managed to get a turnover from the tall shooter. Oh, bodies flying on day 5.
Yeah, and the thing is, and like we said, it's been a long week of competition, and the last thing you want is injuries, and that's why. And the more tired you get, the more you do tend to stay player on player, But this is the time when they just need to play smart netball.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good pass in again. We've got a height advantage then. Bruce, really tall player as well, but has obviously relied on that height, and they to me were easy shots that were missed. Oh, no one knows this call.
And now we're starting to see actually some fight from St Peter's.
Yeah, I think the game will gather intensity as it goes through.
I mean, I've seen them fight all week. They have not had easy games. They have really worked.
Right. Yeah, I think possession to the defender. Absolutely, great call. And I like the right now we have a call called possession, which means if the possession goes to the attacker, defender lets it go, and play just carries on. So it's not a penalty or anyone standing beside. Again, shooter then had an opportunity to turn and face the post. Even if they choose not to shoot, they really should turn and face the post, because then at least the defender has to retreat the customary 3 feet.
Absolutely, but I don't believe Baxter is known for her long shots. So I think she is more likely to shoot closer to goal.
Aha, great tip through from Baxter. And that's the good thing about it, you know, like Singer at the moment, goal attack, she can shoot because she knows she's got a rebounder there as well. Although still, you know, she just needs to just take the confident shot. And if Baxter is only a close shooter, then really she should be in a position where they can feed her that ball in those spaces, which is where it is now.
Which is
Great
exactly
pass.
what they're doing.
Yep, and the reason she missed that shot, she just wasn't balanced.
No,
and
she was only on one foot.
Yeah, and you've got up to 3 seconds. She only just caught it, even if she just put the other leg down. Okay, that's a better preparation from her. Oops. Yep, that ball should have gone in.
Absolutely.
I just hope that this game doesn't just come down to shooting stats, though. We want to see a good game from everybody.
Absolutely, we do.
6-3 at the moment, St Kitts over St Peters.
And it's actually the difference here is that St Peters have had those unforced errors early. As the game goes along, I'm hoping they can pick that up a bit.
Yeah, and then basically treat it as a game and not as a final. I think you often will find in most games a final becomes quite hesitant and everyone goes, oh yeah, but it's a final. You're not going to get the same quality, and I find that sad. If you've played well all week, why not have that same game plan? See, that situation, St Peters had possession, worked possession, and that was an easy gift back to St Kentigern.
So 4 unforced errors from St Peters already.
It was a nice pass in, actually, and it was good holding of space by Bruce.
Oh, that
again,
goalkeeper is doing well against the tall.
Absolutely, but why put a diagonal pass across? Because that's going to stay in the air longer. And it's interesting, Baxter's actually indicating, that's why you'll see the arm go up every so often, is indicating where she thinks the space is, but she can't see what's behind her. It's actually the feeder's responsibility to place the ball into space. Like at the moment, but Baxter actually had the space further across. You know, and they need to, and sometimes I think it's actually the passer's responsibility, not the receiver's.
2 losses by Baxter, and unfortunately St Peters again 2 unforced errors.
Great long shot.
Hopefully that can give her team a bit of confidence.
Yeah, good triangle play. But I think, I was going to say, she won't shoot from there, though.
I think that goalkeeper is working really hard against Baxter.
Sidwell as the goalkeeper for St Peters. Yeah, considering the height difference,
Absolutely.
I think that she's tipping quite a number of ball. And some of those passes are quite high as well.
We've got no front play. Everyone is behind, and St Peters need to work through that. Good girl.
Yeah, I don't understand why the hesitation to even pass to her. She's confident, shooting well, you know, and
was by
give her the
herself.
ball while she's is hot. Absolutely. Oh, good rebound. Yeah, contact called. Oh, takes her time lining up the shot. Oh, must be close to a held ball though. And I don't see the need to do that really. She doesn't need 3 seconds to either the goal up. She knows exactly where she's standing in relation to it. 10-6 at the moment, St Kitts over St Peters. Only 30 seconds to go in the first quarter. So I think it'll be time just for one more centre pass off. At this rate, I still think there'll be time for one more centre pass off. Wow. Warning given.
And a caution given.
It's sad. That's sad when that happens in the first quarter. But to be fair, 3 times now this stoppage has happened.
Has had to reset.
Okay, 5 seconds to go. Now, if she's smart, she'll hold on to the ball. It's only 2 seconds to go.
She threw it.
Oh, she threw it. Yeah, and again, we had this in the last game as well, and that's just an experience thing. When she stepped into that centre circle, I think there was, just under 3 seconds
there was
to
2
go.
seconds left.
Yeah, she really needed just to hold on to that ball, and I'm sure that the time that the umpires are indicated is exactly the same as we're seeing out on the screen at the moment. So this can be interesting, as you see on screen, really interesting. Tiara Keenan there in the background. I heard her screaming on the sideline. That's why I recognised the voice. She's back in the country and is off, obviously taking charge with St Peters, or as one of the coaches in St Peters. Other end, you've got St Kentigern, and it's really quite interesting. They're actually talking about the contacts that are happening. I just saw visually. So this is now going to be a question, do you make changes or do you make corrections? And I think after this first quarter, it is a grand final, you just make corrections, I think. And get the players back in the game, settle down, and just play the quality of netball that they're capable of, and that they've taken, getting into this final game.
We've seen enough ball from St Peters. Unfortunately, it hasn't managed to get down, but we've seen enough ball to actually make them be equal.
Yeah. St Kitts going to the second quarter have made one substitution, and that is the centre change, and now we've got Vatikani is now on in the centre position, so one change being made by them. I find that interesting, but obviously, maybe that is a tactical change. Maybe she provides something different. Maybe she's one of the players that will just drive through the mid-court. We don't know that, and I'm hoping, obviously, that that's just a tactical change. Or, maybe the starting centre, a bit tired. Maybe they'll bring her back on in the third quarter. It is the finals after all. They've had a week-long competition, so, only time will tell with that one. But, 10-7, it's still anyone's game. That's like, two breaks, and that's all there's to it. So it's not a question of what do we do in order to win this game. Just right now, just settle down into the game.
And good to see St Peters have gone with their initial lineup. So they are looking at just making corrections and making sure that they keep that ball. Bit of ball retention wouldn't hurt anyone at this stage.
Oh.
Neither would a good shot.
Yeah, I don't know why they allow the goal attack to have... Oh, geez, and as soon as I said that, she misses the goal. I was going to say she actually has been quite consistent.
Yeah.
But why would you allow just to have that ball? But at the moment, I think the shooting stats indicate where the score sits at the moment. It's at the moment whoever's shooting them, and it's a bit sad that we don't want just that reliance on shooting accuracy.
Another goal by St Kitts, and their pass off 11-7 to St Kitts. And again, St Peters have managed to come up with that ball, but there is no one there.
Oh, yeah, held ball, but that was a little bit lucky because you had the situation Baxter from St Kitts mistimed the jump and then turned. Now, it's a really interesting situation because I've spoken to umpires about this when a shooter takes a shot and the goalkeeper does a mistimed jump and stands there. Now, their theory is they don't get pulled because they are not taking an active part. No, they're not, but they are obstructing a possible pass or a movement, and it's an interesting one. In this case, hey, the umpires at least were consistent and ended up calling the held ball. And part of that was because the girl couldn't sight anything anymore.
That's right.
Oh, good defence. Has to bring the ball out. Good in-circle defence. See, they're holding the spaces. The goalkeeper at the back, though, is being caught out of it. Oh, not sure. It must be an offside.
Offside.
The reason I can say that, obviously, because no one's standing beside, it's not actually a penalty. So it's got to be something simple like a held ball or an offside.
And just like the first quarter, St. Peter's are getting enough ball. It's just they're not able to convert the goals. Well, both coaches going out.
Oh, I was just going to say, boy, there is a lot of calling from the sideline, yeah. And it's interesting, like as a coach, are you actually expecting the players to listen to what you're saying? Or, are you just saying it to voice your own opinions on it? And it is a fine line. But can you sit there as a coach and watch the same thing happen over again, a mistake I'm talking about, and you can't, it's somewhere along the line. And that's why, sometimes with the substitutions, the rolling subs, you can make those changes. So in part, I think that coaches, they're part of the game after all, And yes, you
I'd
can
like to
sit
think
there.
they're part of the game.
Yeah, you can sit there and not say anything, and some coaches do that, and some winning coaches do, but also a lot of losing coaches do. So it's not something that is one way or the other that affects the team performance. But yeah, everyone's involved.
Just in the last few patches of play, we had Tiao coming out on a centre pass and actually having a fantastic intercept, working hard to get it down. They did lose it, regained it again, and were able to score, but still 13-7 to St. Kitts.
Yeah, and we've got 6 minutes to go. Probably not the highest scoring situation, because the ball has been just going up and down the court, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, again, a great tip. Unfortunately, no one there to help it through. But I love it when you see the attacking players. When I say attacking players, like your goal shoot, goal attack, wing attack, when they're actually active on defence, I think it's just great to see. I think it was an out.
Oh, I was going to say, please don't give that to St. Kitts. That was definitely St. Peter's. But again, no one in front, no one cutting through the middle.
But that nice pass and cut, I don't think players do that enough, where a player has the ball, passes to someone, then does a big drive and get the ball again. Because normally with the big drive, you've left your defender behind, and it's an opportunity often to do that.
Absolutely. Let's secure this.
Oh, just gone off her shots a little bit. She was really accurate to start with.
In regards to the pass and cut, I think it's the only way to play when your team is fatigued, when they need to get the ball down the court. Short and sharp.
Yeah, look. I was going to say, look how we're playing. Yeah, look how they were playing along the sideline. So at some stage, you have to bring it back, but certainly shouldn't have been in a diagonal pass. So now it'll be interesting to see what St. Peter's does with this ball. They've got to score from this. And again, you hear the coaches calling out steady, and I agree. You want to be steady, but you still want that ball speed going through. That's good work, though. Just patience. I don't mind the patience. Nice shot.
And Bruce, I don't think she's had too many this round, though. That's I think the first in this quarter.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity. 13-8 down. You have to peg it back one goal at a time. And honestly, because if you break their centre, centre pass off or their possession, it means you can score 2 goals in a row. And that's what's just happened.
Still only a margin of 4, so they're not actually getting out to a huge lead.
Yeah, not prepared to shoot long, and probably it's a good thing. But, I was going to say, she actually ended up being forced into it. She didn't have the players around the circle edge in order to do the pass and cut with.
Now, in the last game, my player was a shooter, but this game, it's actually, Tiao from St. Peter's is doing a mountain of work. She has got rebound after rebound for her team.
Yeah, and again, missed opportunities.
Still large balls being missed by players, long passes.
Some of these areas are, I agree, I think it's due to fatigue. But that one, like, it just came straight off her kneecaps.
Better movement by the shooter.
Oh, now that's going to be an interesting call. It's got to be an offside call.
Was offside first and would have been a contact if she wasn't.
Yep. Oh, and that would have been a stepping call.
And that is a stepping call. Thank you for those.
Oh, should have been an umpire.
Oh, now, and that is hard.
Look at the number of turnovers that is happening prior to it even getting to the shooters. And you certainly cannot blame any of the shooters for this score, because once the ball gets down there, they're doing their job. I know there's some misses, but on the whole, they're doing their job. It's actually through that mid-court that there's a number of errors being made.
Too often she's looking for that back. She needs maybe not stalk.
Yeah, it's also quite good defence, to be fair.
It is St. Kitts. I mean, they've been here before. They have experience in this realm, so I almost thought that was a hard no call there. I thought Bruce had that ball.
Oh, great pass. Straight along the baseline and finished off with a shot.
I'm pleased now because...
Yeah, but again, look at that missed opportunity. They managed to keep the ball in on the centre pass off, went down to the shooter and then lost the possession. Well, the coaches on the sideline must be really feeling it.
Absolutely.
In fact, I just heard one of the coaches say, give it. So, yes, I think they're feeling it. Honestly, as a coach, like if you know what your players are capable of, and they're producing it in parts out on court, you know, and then they waste it with silly errors, it's soul-destroying. And it is about performance, you know, as much as everyone's dwelling on about the winning. No, right now what we're looking at is the performance.
Yes.
Nice shot.
And I'm pleased that Singh is shooting, because she spent a lot of time looking in at Baxter, and she is a shooter in her own right.
Yeah, and too often we tend to we focus on the tall shooter in the back, you know, and always the pop pass into the tall shooter. But, you know, often it's the goal attack that either basically splits the defenders and does all the groundwork, and often actually it's the goal attack that is left out. You know, the defenders leave her, well, then they need to nail it as a shooter. And that'll force one of the defenders to move back on her and, again, leave that tall shooter with a one-on-one situation.
That's right. And then, again, there's Tiao from St. Peter's again with a fantastic... And so you've just got to get that. That is, with seconds to go, 16-10.
16-10. A nice lead, but, you know, it's not, at the moment, a match-winning lead. So St. Peter's still very much in the game. You know, if you saw both these teams playing to their full potential, you'll say, well, it's going to be St. Kitts that's going to win it. But I don't think either of these two teams are playing to their full potential. Shooting stats, yep, that's easy to account for, and they're not the greatest. But if you have a look at the unforced errors and the number of, like, diagonals, the cross-court passes, and those are things right now that need to be changed. And yep, we have a 3-minute half time, not a long time, unfortunately, but, you know, really the work should have been done going into this. Changes are being made. I just noticed with St. Peter's, I think there's a new centre coming on in the position. Kalma is coming on. Ormsby is going into wing attack. Ormsby was the centre, so she's moved into wing attack. And Bradley is now coming on in the goal attack position. That'll be interesting to see how she will combine with Bruce in the back, because I think Kyra Morrison was starting to actually come to her own, and she was prepared to take some of the shots. So a few changes made by St. Peter's, and similarly I think St. Kitts, just the one change, and again we've gone back to the original centre within their lineup. They probably felt that, and we said that right at the start, where it might just be they're a little bit tired, so we just do that rotation. Very similar, actually. We didn't see much change, from the first quarter to the second quarter in the movement or anything else. So I guess they're quite similar players.
And look on the screen now, Te Aroha Ken is giving her team
it was to do with guarding the shot, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
The hands over, and yet they weren't penalised for any of that anyway.
No, in
so
actual fact, that
interesting.
their defence did
I thought their
great
defence
work.
were doing quite good, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've had several gains.
Yeah. In the background, you just side right in the background, some of the selectors, and they'll be having a great little chat. Although, to be fair, I think everything is well in place with all the players prior to this final. I don't even think that this will just justify some of the players' selections, but
Absolutely.
I think all the selections will have been done by now. There's no way that you would leave it ever for a final game. And really, some players will shine in a final, and some players just, they just become one of 7 in a final rather than really showing their true worth as an individual. And that just happens sometimes. So.
I know the lists are out, so I don't think there's anything being added to them, and that's great. Those I just
And it shouldn't
cannot believe how many selectors there have been this week.
And there should be too. With that number of teams out there, I think every player deserves a fair opportunity and to be cited. And what I really enjoy is that there's different selectors. So everyone has their own little quirks. Everyone's looking for their own little things in a player. Some of the selectors are slightly more defensive orientated, some are attacking orientated. So it's quite good to get that real mix. And then at the end of the day, they should come together and say, hey, did you cite this person or that person? And I think that should be done at every level, including the Silver Ferns level.
Absolutely.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see now, third quarter, just how St. Peter's need to come out really strong in this quarter. You can't really leave it until the last quarter. Don't forget, only 10-minute quarters.
And I think St. Peter's are suffering from a little bit of withdrawal from their basketball players that have played all week and actually had extremely good games.
The thing is, they must have known about that as well, and it's great just being in the final, but you've also got to work towards
They will have, but I would
well.
say that they're probably in the final somewhere else. Right. And St. Kitts have also changed wing defence. So Taylor's gone into wing defence.
Oh, big, long cross-court pass.
Huge look.
Defender looked at it but didn't go for it. I found that interesting.
Just straight into hands at the moment, a lot of the passes.
Yeah, at the moment, really, St. Peter's getting caught chasing because of the ball speed that St. Kitts putting on it. But again, unforced error.
Baxter trying to get that ball to a goal attack and threw it at her ankles.
Interesting, yep. St. Peter's looking beyond the mess. When I say a mess, beyond all the defending players directly in front and looking beyond that. So actually doing some long passes, which means the defenders further down need to look at that opportunity. It was a good hold. Good hold by the goal attack.
And great finish.
And the goal attack now is Bradley.
St. Peter's are going to have to pull something up now to get a few back in this quarter.
Yeah, they've pinned a couple. They're only 5 down at the moment. Oh, I think 6. Yep, 6 down now. And what they were 7 down going into this quarter, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yep, but I was going to say, I was surprised she took the next shot when she didn't need to. See, that was a long shot. She got the rebound, which was brilliant, but she could have done a quick pass into her other shooter then.
And again, Tiao comes up with it. See, for me, she is working.
Yep.
She is working, and that's what they need, is to get a little bit of a gain. I think Bruce needs to work a little bit harder on being available. She has got 2, but that circle,
or
the
the goal
taller
attack.
shooter.
Yep, or the goal attack has to go in there and basically take one player off. Oh, great shot. Great shot.
She even managed to pop a fake in there.
One. As I mentioned earlier, a shooter that puts in 2 fakes. Now that was brilliantly done, really. Interesting. There was a tip made, ball was going out of court, and yet someone else went up. Be smart, didn't try to take position, but batted back, and that deserved a goal at the end of that. That was really nice teamwork for that one. That actually will lift them.
I think it will. I think she was nervous about taking the shot, but it did go in.
Yep.
And will she go again?
No, she will wait till you will go closer. And often you'll find with a tall player, who normally is what I call a close shooter, when they first get the ball in the shooting circle, they will always pass it out and they will take it. Even if they take it again in the same spot, they tend to always pass that first one out. And maybe that is just to regain balance, or it's become a habit. Yeah, it's got to be defence ball. That's what's costing them at the moment.
It is. I think Bruce needs to get him for some rebounds.
Yep, just not finishing it off. Nice straight line play. Nice straight line. Again, deserves a goal. Yep. Straight line play is really when the ball just goes straight down the court, no diagonals. So straight line plays are really hard to defend. Really hard to get intercepts from, rather.
Sidwell's now struggling with the tallness of Baxter, and she is, whereas before she was coming in front, she's actually stuck on that side now. Let's hope she can.
Yep, exactly. And it showed exactly then, in the situation then. In fact, it wasn't a high ball that went in there. She held the space, and now she's actually on the side. And I said it earlier, she needs to get off the player, still on the player right now. See the space that's available. Give the attackers credit, though, because you've got your situation whereby it's some really good feeds going into the shooter as well. And at the moment, she actually is not having to take any high balls.
No, and only a couple of minutes ago there was 4-5 was the difference, but now we're at 10, 24-14, and that is just because they're consistently bringing it in. The shooter's had a bit more confidence, and she's been able to turn and shoot, and now they're finding it hard.
Yeah, and at the other end, they are struggling a bit. Yeah, good play, good triangle play.
Kent's now in a groove, aren't they? They're really in just
absolutely
comfortable mode and just playing.
She'll get up.
And therein lies the problem with large passes, with long lobs.
Yep, but St Kitts has taken their opportunity as well.
Absolutely, it was beautiful intercept by the keeper.
Oh, there's confidence in that shooting circle now, isn't there?
And yet in the first quarter it did not look like that.
Yeah. Does a change in the goal attack make a difference? Look at that, how easy it is going in there at the moment. And yeah, you can say, look, the shooter's taking all the shots. Yep, but she's being allowed to as well.
No, but initially the goal attack didn't want to shoot. Then she took 2 and the defence came off her because thought, well, we need to take her, so it separated the goal shooter. She's gone one-on-one with Sidwell, and unfortunately...
How's that for an intercept? Stayed off the body, came through. Great intercept. That's Ropati, isn't it?
It is Ropati.
Yeah, great intercept.
It's your second in the same amount of minutes. There are intercepts out there to be taken, though. There's a lot of cross-court play that's happening that actually players could run through.
Yeah, really interesting. I just listened to the call from the coach from St Peter's, and she's asked, she talked to her about Lucy, and I'm going, who's Lucy? And it's Sidwell. and she asked her to go around the back. Now, the reason she's done that is to try to get the goal shooter, Baxter, to move away from the post, because she's having a lot of success being by the post. The only problem with that is by going around the back, and it just showed there, it actually provides you with a lot of space in front of you. And if you're around the back of a player, you're certainly not going to get an intercept.
Absolutely.
Yes, you can contain the shooter in a particular area, but at the moment, they're not having a lot of problems, as you can see, feeding her. And they're making the most of those opportunities.
They've really opened it up. The
just
shooter
the confidence,
is,
just the whole confidence aspects, even on the attack, they're just prepared to let the ball go. And right now, St. Peter's is in chase mode, and they're going to go into that fourth quarter. There's only over just a minute to go. They're going to go into that fourth quarter in chase mode, and St. Kitts is going to go into that fourth quarter with a tremendous amount of confidence.
I wonder if we'll see some changes from St. Kitts with that extra space on the scoreline.
Yeah, but probably not to start with. And again, I wouldn't like to see too many changes, and we spoke about that. You want that continuity going, and they've got to enjoy what's happening out there, and they're the ones that created this difference between the score. So it's an opportunity in the end, if the score keeps going, ticking along the way it does, to get others out on court. But I do that with the rules the way they are now. They can do it during the quarter rather than all en masse coming onto the game. And in part, I was going to say it's disrespectful to the opposition, but if I was the opposition, I'd try and nail it, with them doing that, because the players that are coming out are players that haven't actually been there. Yep.
Just 5 seconds to go now. They need to shoot.
31-17 to St. Kitts, leading into the fourth quarter. And to be fair, I'm not saying that's a huge score, but they certainly deserve to be ahead because they have been the more dominant team, and they're just oozing confidence at the moment.
They've been here before several times.
Yeah, and I think that comes into it as well. You need to, and that's the experience that goes with it. And finals netball is slightly different. As much as we can sit here and say play exactly the same as you've played all week. No, it's different. For one thing, you're indoors for a start off. They've played the whole game outdoors, so now suddenly you're indoors. It actually makes it better because you can do a lot more. I think that defensively, I think that you go for a lot more ball on an indoor court than an outdoor, because one, you wouldn't want to fall over on an outdoor court. Also, your shooting stats, in theory, and it's not working today though, but in theory should be better because you haven't got the elements to contend with, and take into account. And geez, who wants to play in the rain? I mean, I'm certainly far beyond that now. But the experience of playing, nailing it when you have to nail it, and that's certainly what St. Kitts has done. St. Peter's could be in a situation, though, that they're comfortable, they're satisfied getting into the finals, and they might have already celebrated victories having gotten into the finals.
Absolutely.
And I think that could be the difference.
This is the best seeding that they've had ever in UNISS. So, in UNISS. So, and I think that we've seen that because they've had 2 changes, and they've changed. The Gold D, Katie Tiao, has come off, and Waiata Jennings has gone on. Now, Katie Tiao, I think, was the kingpin of that team. She was doing so much work, so they have taken her off, given her a rest. And
but that's interesting. Wouldn't you want to now, in a situation, I know the goal, they're not going to win this game now, but you'd want to reward her for what she's been doing to date. Why would you take her off?
It's probably not a move I would make, but no, they've brought Waiata.
So Metcalf has come on at wing defence, and Jennings has come on for goal defence for St. Peter's. St. Kitts, they have made a change. They put on a new wing defence. Robertson, what's that?
Robertson Tiki.
On that wing defence. No, she was. Oh, yeah, she was the starting wing defence.
Right.
That's why I looked at the name. Yeah, she was the starting wing defence. So they're allowing her to finish it, which is a cool thing to do. You may find them, though, there's already players warming up from St. Kitts just to the side of us, and I think you'll find that they will come onto the court periodically during this final quarter, and I think that's good coaching.
And just as a name-dropping exercise, there's a few children of netball players playing in this final. Amy G. Metcalf, the coach for Waikato. Her daughter is now on at wing defence. It's Georgia. And, of course, Atlanta Bruce is April Uramir's daughter. Oh, beautiful, beautiful movement and pass to the shooter. Good rebound by Atlanta.
Yep, and that's the thing. Your goal attack can start shooting because the goal shooter should be in a position where she can come through for the rebound. Not that you wanted to do that, but it should give you at least the confidence that there is a rebound opportunity. Yeah, nice pass, nice feed into the space, and rewarded.
Well, their confidence has grown.
That whole attacking lineup for St Kitts, a great understanding between each other now. Took a while to settle, but it's certainly there now, and they're certainly capitalising on that. Still a bit of hesitancy going the other way with St Peter's. Yeah, and there
it is again.
Yeah, resulted in a held ball because I just mentioned the hesitancy, and I don't get that one. It's not like they're protecting a lead. This is just an opportunity. Just let the ball do the work. Ball speed is what wins you games.
And I think
and shooting accuracy. I'll have to give you that.
You give me that.
But without the fence, you.
It helps when it goes through the hoop, Yvonne. I've always found it's advantageous.
Yep. Well, shooters, they sort of can draw your games, but defenders let you win games. We'll leave it at that. And a great shot.
Let's agree to disagree. St. Peter's not having as much flow as St. Kitts.
Yeah, what I like in this game, though, there isn't just a line. Here we go. We've already got a change being made, and we knew this was going to happen, that they were going to periodically bring in changes. But what I like about this game is that there isn't just the reliance on a key player like a tall shooter. There's a lot of tall shooters coming through, and we seem to be looking for the tall shooter and then in turn looking for the tall defenders. But if you have a look at it, this isn't just a game on the big high lobs going into the shooter.
No.
And there's a lot of skillful play being held out.
To be fair, it could be because she is a very tall shooter.
Yep, but they're not. They're playing beyond that, and they're playing the spaces, which I think is brilliant to see. And yeah, I think that St Kitts have made another change, and Stith has now come on in the goalkeeper position. She's actually quite a tall player too.
She is, and I wonder if she is again a year 13 having a last run.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how she is in that defensive circle.
That attacking end for St Kitts has really got into a groove now.
Absolutely.
They were hesitant in that first half, but actually, and St. Peter's are just throwing the ball away.
Here's the new player out on court. It's Stith, Karen's Stith.
And to be fair, she's had a lot of ball in her hands already. Just getting untidy with 5 minutes, 25 seconds to go.
Yeah, but when you're 38, 19 up, you can afford to do a few of these little things.
You can afford to roll
and
around the court.
Had it got to its destination, everyone would have thought she was wonderful. Although personally, long pass, cross court, didn't have a lot of hope.
Just basic errors and fatigue. I mean, they're going to nationals.
Yeah, and I think that's a situation where St Peter's has now found themselves in a position, made the final, never been there before, and, I think, you can't help it. Some of these players have already basically done their celebrations prior to this game. St Kitts, on the other hand, have probably been in a final before. I think they have.
Several times.
Yep, and so they're now in a situation that this is their opportunity to nail it. So they've come into this game with different feelings and ideas, I suppose. And what we've got to remember, they're just kids.
Absolutely. We now got another And here we have
Yep.
Flay on. Renee Flay. On a shooter, she has not had much time this UNISS.
Right.
And I believe she is a year 13.
Yeah, just 4 minutes to go in this final. And it will be a well-deserved victory to St Kentigern's College.
Will do. Flay's come on with all the energy of a player that's been sitting on the bench for 5 days.
Yeah. It's always good to have, though. And then the other players have worked for the entire duration, and this person goes, "Come on, let's go. What's your problem?"
She's all excited up and down. She goes. She's running around like
it's so cool.
Like a fresh wee thing.
Yeah.
In fact, so fast that they didn't give her the ball quick enough.
There, give the ball earlier. It was there.
But yeah, I agree. That could have gone seconds earlier to her. I know the score is 21 points, but St Peter's have worked so hard to get here. St Kent's obviously have too, because they haven't had all the results going their way.
How's that for a pass?
And St Kent's looking like all the polished team that they are. If we look at the 6 that are going to nationals, it's really pleasing to see Avondale in there. Eggs is a normal Howick Pakuranga. Of course, they've won nationals. St Kent's obviously been up there. Eggs, St Peter's, Westlake often but not always. But really, Avondale and St Peter's, good on them. Remembering there are 32 teams in each grade. So this is the top. These are the 6 that we've called out. St Kent's, Howick, Avondale, Eggs, St Peter's and Westlake are the top 6 in the Upper North Island. They'll go to nationals with the top 6 in the South Island.
Right, just 2 minutes left in the game. Yep, St Peter's will want to nail this one. Again, this is not now about the score, but also that element of luck's just not going their way either. That ball bounced off the post, and it was, it could have been anyone's opportunity. Meantime, and that was, I was going to say, surely that's not going to get to its destination.
Oh, but do you know what? It's a replay.
But again, have a look at it. They're still going to get the ball, and that's that element of luck.
Will Renee shoot? There. No, she will not. And
she'll shoot this one, though.
Well done.
What's also great about the game is that you wouldn't say it's been a really physical game. I think it's been quite a skillful game.
I think so.
And, there's some different aspects. They haven't just sort of relied on one particular aspects of the game. And I think that's great for obviously our development work within New Zealand and for our future. And don't forget, at the end of all this, the sighting will be towards the World Youth Cup, which is going to be held in Fiji, I think. Yeah, in Fiji. So, whilst these players are first of all working towards New Zealand secondary school, there is also that opportunity for that New Zealand under-21 selection. Good finish by St Kent's.
Just 18 seconds to go. St Peter's going to manage to get one in.
Replay. Oh. No, they're not. No, time's gone, and they'll know it's only 3 seconds to go. They're not in a rush, actually. And that's just a lack of experience. And a shot that went straight in. Why? Because it wasn't a pressure shot, but they had no idea that time in the end. Look, here you got St Kent's. Yep, totally. Congratulations to them. Well-deserved victory, and it wasn't even a close game. And probably mentally, they probably had the game won before the game even started.
Absolutely.
On that one. So congrats to them, and certainly St Peter's can be proud of their performance as well. Been a long, hard week, and this is the end result. So now players, the next step up for them is obviously there's lots of selectors been around. We've spoken about it, and it's about them now naming players. Really hard though, and spoke about it earlier. I know some of the players in the lower grade teams, it's really hard. You want to stay with as a team. You want to be very focused on the team, but you actually really need to excel in those games in order to be cited by the selectors. So it is always tricky, and you'll always find that your first grade teams are the ones, your A grade teams are the ones that most of the selections will come from, and that's unfortunately just the way the game is. And when you're down lower grade, you're saying, could that player do exactly what she's doing now in a higher grade? And often you could actually say, yeah, but it's just missed opportunities sometimes. Yeah. But hey, at the age that they are, opportunities will come their way. And right now I think it's great to be part of the school netball scene, to have that pride, not just in your own team, but also the pride in your school. I'm right into that, pride in performance, pride in what you're trying to achieve out there. So I think both those teams can give themselves a pat on the back.
I think actually all teams from UNISS this year can give themselves a pat on the back. There's been some fantastic school spirit, and the way that each of them, don't think anyone's disgraced themselves. All schools should be very proud of the teams that have attended this year.
So just final now obviously what we're looking forward to is the presentation of the big trophy, and that's always the end result. But certainly it's been a hard-fought week, and it's been really great having obviously the finals indoors, and I'm sure the players have really appreciated it. What I also find really great is that there's a lot of spectators here that have stayed on to see the finals, and they haven't gone back and done their own thing. So their focus isn't just about themselves, it's about the whole netball scene, and I think that's just been great. So from us here at the Netball North Harbour, the Netball Centre, on behalf of myself and Julie Kalman-Poto, wish you all the best, and I hope you've really enjoyed the coverage of all these finals games, and I know that all the players gave their all.